As you may have noticed, tensions between the owners and Riot have been rising recently with the interviews that I did around franchising, and most recently with Scar's interview from Score Esports, where he talked to Reginald from TSM about the patch that was put out right before playoffs. And Monday, everything really exploded when Mark Merrill replied to Reginald's interview on the Reddit thread saying, quote, "But if he's so concerned about the financial health of his players, maybe he should spend some more of the millions he's made and makes from League of Legends on paying them instead of investing in other esports where he's losing money." Now, I went on to talk about the patch as well, but ultimately this was basically like dropping a nuclear bomb onto this, Cold War between the owners and Riot. Since then, Reginald has responded with his own rebuttal, and many different pundits have come in with their own opinions of what's going on and how the system is broken. Now, I'm not here to talk specifically about the system. What I do want to say is that last night, whenever all this stuff started breaking out, there were a lot of people posting Michael Jackson eating popcorn GIFs and enjoying the drama as it flowed on to all the different social media networks. For me, I was really sad, actually, about how this happened. I like to think we've come a long way in the past 5 years since, the initial iteration of League of Legends esports and when Twitch really took off and we started to see all this development and all these resources being put into the scene. But stuff like this makes me feel like we're taking a step back. When you see a comment show up on Reddit just as a knee-jerk reaction to an interview, and you see somebody follow up with a twit longer, and ultimately these two parties are talking about massive ecosystem issues and their leaders within our industry, it's really disheartening to see something which is such a huge conversation essentially devolve down to a message board war. We're now an industry where tournaments are broadcast on mainstream television. We have mainstream sponsors coming in and massive media companies that are taking notice. And while I very much value the grassroots values and sort of community that has built up around this whole thing, I also think it's time to start taking ourselves really seriously. These are huge issues and they deserve well-formed conversation in the appropriate avenues. You might find it very funny and entertaining to watch this stuff break out, but ultimately, there are a lot of eyes on esports right now. We have sponsors that are interested in coming in, investors that are interested in throwing money into orgs and becoming owners, traditional sports organizations that are looking to break in as well. And whenever you hear something exciting like the North American LCS finals are coming to Toronto and you're going to see, this historic rivalry between C9 and TSM breakout, the last thing you want is a ton of media coverage and conversation around whether or not the system is even stable and, just indications that the leaders of this industry are acting in pretty immature ways. Now, I'm not assigning blame here to anyone in particular, and I'm not trying to shame anyone. I certainly understand the plight of owners who feel as though they're not being listened to by Riot and feel like they need to voice their concerns. I also understand how someone who started a company can have a knee-jerk reaction that unfortunately can land him in some PR hot water, but ultimately he's just trying to defend the decisions that this company he's built has made. But at the end of the day, these conversations shouldn't probably even be showing up online, or if they do, they should be in a much more moderated venue. Instead, everyone looks bad. Sponsors and investors start to question the stability of esports. They start to wonder if it's mature enough for them to enter, and that could ultimately create a backslide that could mitigate a lot of the hard work and effort we've put into building this industry. Now, I think we're realizing that there are a lot of complex issues that need to be resolved, and probably conversations to figure out what all of them are. And this current state where you just hear from one side of the issue and then another, and there's no real perspective on how these two things are clashing, isn't really solving anything. Now, both Riot and the owners want esports to succeed. They want this thing to grow, they want money to come in to sustain their business, and they want to make the fans happy. Obviously, there's been instances of owner and Riot conferences before, and these guys have emails to negotiate the stuff, but when it happens in traditional sports and other industries, you actually have the opportunity to have a third party come in and help negotiate an agreement between these two conflicting ideas, help them understand each other's perspectives, and come to an agreement. The fans and players deserve better. You can't just go from one fiery post online to another without actually having anything ever get resolved. And while there have been instances of conferences, and I'm sure there's email chains and all this stuff between the owners and Riot, what they really need is a prolonged negotiation to iron out all these complex issues and find a place where everybody can agree. Now, while I do believe this is best resolved in a private setting, I've been called a Riot shill and an owner shill recently, so I can think of no one better suited to moderate a discussion between the two sides on camera here in one of our 3 studios just 10 minutes away from Riot headquarters. Either way, I hope this gets resolved soon because I really want to enjoy NALCS finals this weekend in Toronto and World Championships beyond that and focus in on what really matters here, the storylines and the players and everything that they're doing on stage. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.